5 animals that I think make the best first reptile that you guys can care for. I know you can do. Hi, my name is Sam and I'm known by Stakes on Sam, and I've been a total crazy reptile person since I was like 8 years old. I've cared for a lot of animals, and also I take classes at Oregon State University in zoology and also natural resources, and so I know a lot about the subject. One of the biggest issues I find with people caring for their first reptile is they're not really sure what they're in for.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
They may choose the wrong reptile for their lifestyle or even their environment. So today I'm debunking all the myths and making sure you know what you're in for when you choose your first reptile. Now, if you're wondering how I'm deciding what species are best for new keepers, here are my criteria. So the first one is that they're easily handleable, right? We all want animals to care for and enjoy handling and interacting with. And this goes for kids, families, even young adults. Everyone can handle these critters. They're awesome to care for. Number 2 is that these reptiles are very accessible to people in rural areas, to city areas, all across the United States, even abroad. That really matters when it comes to caring for these animals because you have access to tools, care, and also great advice to help you through your journey. The next criteria is that they're well established in the pet trade. So this gives you the tools to choose your morph and also to choose the animal and the breeder so you know what you're getting in terms of genetics. This can make a big difference in the health of your animal over time as well. Another criteria that I find very important to most of the people that I speak to is that they want an animal that is good with families, so little kids can handle them, big adults can handle them, and everyone in between. And finally, one of the most important criteria when choosing your first reptile is their adult size and the manageability of that adult size. So a lot of reptiles start out really small when you get them, like a bearded dragon, and then they get bigger, but some top out at a more reasonable size than others. That is so important to consider when choosing an animal. All right, are you ready? Let's do this. Let's get started. Let's look at your future animal because man, it's exciting, right? So if you're looking for a snake for your first reptile, it can feel a bit overwhelming to figure out which species to choose. There's a reason why ball pythons are so popular, right? And this is my first choice, a ball python. So they're a great beginner snake. They're a good size. This is Gizmo, my normal ball python. He has a bit of pastel in him as well, so he's a morph technically. He's a really calm, great, entertaining snake. These guys are easy to care for in the fact that their supplies are readily available anywhere. They can easily be found at big box pet stores, small pet stores, and online. They don't need too much, but they do need enrichment like rocks and trees and things to grab onto. I would consider this a great species for families as well. They don't take too much time, they're easy to care for, and overall, they're just a really fun species to house. And these guys are super established in the pet trade, so you can easily find a captive bred animal with great genetics and also some really cool variations in their morph and pattern. They're also great for families. So these guys are very handleable by children, adults, anyone who wants to go ahead and interact with the snake, and they're very tolerable of different handling situations. A manageable size with a manageable enclosure footprint, which makes such a difference in their long-term care. Right, Gizmo? Isn't it cute? Since we're on the topic of snakes, it's time to move on to the next snake I recommend. This one will be a corn snake. So in recent years, corn snakes have taken a bit of a backseat to the ball python in terms of popularity, but that does not mean they're not awesome. I don't personally have one at this time, but let's go ahead and talk about the benefits of this species. They're a bit different than ball pythons in the fact that they're long and slender versus kind of short and stock. They're very manageable and handleable in their size for all ages. I think that makes such a difference. They also are great for families in the same way that a ball python is great for families. They don't get too large and they don't need a huge enclosure. They are well established in the pet trade and they come in some really cool colors. So one of the classics is the albino corn snake. I think that's the one most people think of when they think corn snake. But there's also some really cool coloration. I think these guys are wonderful for families and very manageable over the long term and just an awesome choice if you're looking for a pet snake. Everyone that I speak to holds these snakes in such high regards. I've never heard anything bad about the corn snake. Now, let's talk about some lizards. If you've been on my channel before, you do know that I talk a lot about blue-tongued skinks. And that should be a pretty good hint that I think they're awesome beginner reptiles. Not only are they personable and fun and engaging to watch, they're actually really easy to care for as well. This is Bowie, my blue-tongued skink. I've had him for about, how long, buddy? I think I've had him for about 6 years, and he's been awesome this whole time. He's really fun to engage with. They eat some silly stuff like some wet dog food. They also eat crickets, worms. They kind of eat pretty much anything they can get their hands on. In recent years, these guys have become extremely popular as pets. They're readily available in a lot of pet stores, online, and even at reptile shows. As always, I recommend discussing with the breeder or wherever you're getting them from to make sure that they're captive bred. This makes sure you have a healthy animal that's not full of parasites, but also it helps keep the populations in nature good and in check. Everything that you need to care for these guys can easily be found at any reptile shop or even a pet store. These guys are awesome for families in that they are very thick-bodied and great for all ages to handle. Their adult cages are not ginormous and they're great for any home. Overall, I think blue-tongued skinks are an awesome, exotic pick that anyone will love. However cool a blue-tongued skink is, there's one lizard that takes the MVP and people absolutely adore even more than these guys. And that is, of course, the number 4 reptile on this list, the bearded dragon. These guys are amazing creatures. They are loved as pets for a reason, and I could not recommend them more. Buddy, my bearded dragon, is currently at home, sitting on a ledge somewhere, judging people as they walk by. And I think that's the thing people love about them most. These guys are so easy to come by in captivity to the point where we need to start scaling back the breeding of them, to be honest. If you look for a reptile breeder or a reptile shop that you trust, these guys make awesome additions to any home. When they're babies, they can be a little bit more skittish, but as they age and as they grow, they become the chillest guys in the world. Their cages are about the same footprint as a blue-tongued skink, so they're very manageable at home, and for families, they're very handleable, and they're also very hardy creatures. Kids, adults, anyone of all ages can totally enjoy this creature and enjoy interacting with them. Their supplies can easily be found anywhere you go for any of your pet supplies, and they don't need too much once they're set up. Overall, I completely believe in the beardy as being an awesome pet, and there's a reason why people fall in love with them all the time. Our final reptile that I recommend for anyone looking for a species to take home today is the leopard gecko. They're awesome creatures, and actually I had one when I was a kid and I fell in love with this little guy. I haven't owned a leopard gecko for a very long time, but when I did, I found them extremely easy to care for, especially being a kid. Some people don't like the crickets that they eat, and that's okay, but don't let it fool you because they're pretty easy to maintain with roaches and worms as well. Though I consider them a little bit more delicate than the bearded dragon or blue-tongued skink, I think they are pretty good for older kids and any adults to handle. Young children with the help of their parents can totally enjoy this species, and I think that is a very valuable lesson for them to learn to handle gently. The leopard gecko requires even a smaller footprint than the other lizards I mentioned, making them even easier to own. I'm sure you've seen the memes, but they are known for the cutest little Pokemon-like expression. They're mostly up at night, so be prepared to have a rambunctious gecko walking around in the evening hours, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy them during the day. Everything you need is right in front of you at any reptile shop or big box pet store, but be aware that some of the information on these geckos can be a little bit off sometimes. Some places say to put some sand in their enclosure, just don't. Please don't. I'll explain that in another video. Just trust me now. They also come in some pretty cool morphs and colorations, so you can choose which one you like the best and it can be unique to you. Now, my list just doesn't stop there. Those are the 5 animals I really truly think are the best animals to begin your reptile journey with, but there are some honorable mentions. These guys didn't make the cut because there's some things that don't fit all my criteria. For example, the Hermann's tortoise. I love this species. They are one of the cutest reptiles you'll ever meet, and they're very personable. I think they're great for kids looking for something cute, and they're easy to feed. But their housing can get a bit big. They can't really go outside very easily until they get over 6 inches, so that's something to keep in mind as well. If you have unlimited space or you're willing to get a big enclosure, I'd say the tortoise is something you should look into though. And if you're wondering why tortoises aren't really featured in this video, it's because they require so much space and they live such a long time. I mean, you're gonna have to put them in your will, you know? And some people aren't ready to do that. Can you imagine having this guy for that long? If you can, I'd say don't do a tortoise. Next is something that I don't have here with me today, but a lot of people love and care for. It's a crested gecko. I know so many people who have started with this animal and love them, but for me, there's some things that make me have a little pause to saying it's a good first reptile. The benefits of the species is that they're really good at room temperature and have pretty easy food. They eat a powdered diet that you add water to, and so it's super easy to maintain the species. However, they can drop their tails when they get stressed or startled, which can scare or even be a sad part of the experience of owning this animal. They are definitely much more delicate than a bearded dragon or a blue-tongued skink, even a little bit more delicate than a leopard gecko, I would say. So for young kids, I might say this is not your best bet. If you have an older kid, maybe 8, if you're an adult, go for it. They're awesome. They're really cool animals. The last honorable mention is the Rosy boa. These guys are a very special snake. They're not too common in the reptile trade compared to like the bearded dragon, but they are becoming more common as years go on. They're also one of the smallest boas in the world and one of the slowest snakes in the world, making them very unique and really quirky. The reason why rosy boas don't earn a main spot in my list is because they're kind of harder to come by. Being in the West, you can find them a little easier, but that's also another point that I want to mention. A lot of them aren't captive bred and taken from the wild. It's so important to not take from the wild and to also know your animal's captive bred. But if you can find a captive bred one that you fall in love with locally at a store, go for it. I think they make awesome pets and even better companions. So which would you choose? Like, what animals interest you the most? Are you more a lizard person? Are you more a snake person? Does something like a rosy boa fit better for you than a ball python because rosy boas sound good and you're in the West? You have them right there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Who would you choose out of the list of animals that I mentioned today, even the honorable mentions? Comment below. I'm really interested to know. I am so excited that you're being so choosy and learning about the reptiles that fit well for you. And by the way, welcome to this awesome, weird, interesting world of reptiles we live in. It is a whole subculture and we love it dearly, and I can't wait for you to be a part of it. And please, during your journey, like, subscribe, comment, reach out, because I really want to help you and learn more about your needs and your wants. Thanks for tuning into Steaks on Sam. Get wild and stay curious, my friends.